it's worth acknowledging, like, I have had zero interactions with any label or person who works at a label. So, like, everything I build perspective on is hearsay, which is always a little dangerous. But having said that, like, I think you and I have talked about this. I think the major labels at this point have effectively become venture capitalists. And what I mean by that more specifically is, like, they're going to bet on 50 horses and they're basically just counting on one to hit 50 million bucks. And then particularly because of the leverage they're able to apply early, they're going to keep so much of that 50 million. It's going to pay for the entire investment they put on the other 50 horses and fuel investment in the next 50. Again, I'm sure there are kind, good-hearted people, A&Rs, label execs, etc. But I think the general trend of the industry is kind of that VC direction where it's like there's a blueprint about how to go viral and how to get 1 billion streams, and we put every artist on that path, and if you make it, great, and if you don't, we don't fucking care. I think there are a growing number of indie labels which have focused a lot more on, like, how do you build brand, how do you treat an artist as an asset that can then leverage brand deals and multiple revenue streams and make music more sustainable. I think there's some really great aspects to that. I think it's certainly more in service of the artist and a more equitable relationship. But at the end of the day, like, the giant piece missing in all of this to me is, like, if you look at the struggles that artists have as creative people trying to navigate such a financially motivated world, it's not great for them. Like, a lot of artists, whether it's through drinking or sex or drugs or whatever, like, have a need to find these outlets because the systems they're in are so fucked. So what I would love to see, like, and what I in some ways, like, aspire to create myself, is a label that is actually built entirely around, like, how do you sustain the health and wellness of the artist? Because I think if you looked at data, it would be pretty obvious, like, artists that don't quit ultimately end up being successful. I don't know how successful. That doesn't mean they're all going to make millions of dollars, but if you pursue a craft long enough and pursue it in a way where you continue to improve, you can create opportunities for yourself, whether that's through traditional routes or non-traditional routes. And it's a higher level of risk for the label, but I think that your consistency of success would be so much higher if you took that approach rather than the, like, how do we find the financially fast or viable route for you? So, like, again, this is with no interactions with the label. I'm probably not going to get many after this goes out. But I do think that there is a need to, like the artist is the business. And so, like, the health of the business includes the mental and physical health of the artist. And it just feels like the organizations in place to support them are doing a fucking terrible job. And I am hopeful that, like, the label systems, big or indie or whatever, can start to make strategic moves to be more invested in that aspect of creating art and less so in the how do we commercialize and sell it. That was a lot of words.